Hi everyone, what's up, Clever Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, if you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Clevy and it is so nice to meet you. Okay, I want to say a huge shout out to the person who sent me this. I don't think you would want me to mention your name in this video, however, you know yourself. So thank you for sending this to me in my email. My email is open for all of this, okay? And now just thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense that I am gonna be checking out this video today, and I received it yesterday because the video I did yesterday was set to they're trying to recover um the sculpture of King Jayavarman VI because some people believes that it's going to bring about the end of the Khmer National Empire. They're trying to prove that it originated from Thailand, right? And so now this is the title of this video right now, and I'm like, oh, I see what's going on. And now this is Cambodia tracking down thousands of priceless looted antiques. They're almost similar, yeah. So I cannot wait to check this out. And if you're ready to this with me, smash the like button, join the family, join the squad by clicking on the subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss whenever I upload a video, guys. Don't forget to watch to the end of the video to find out if you are today's shout out. All right, guys, in 3, 2, 1, let's do this. Shout out to 60 minutes. When I saw 60 minutes, I was like, yo, are we about to listen to 1 hour? Oh, no, it's not. It's not 60 minutes. Okay, let's do this. Ooh.
The theft of Cambodia's cultural treasures,
It's in
thousands of sacred
English.
stone, bronze, and gold artifacts from religious sites across the country, might just be the greatest art heist in history.
Mm.
It began nearly a century ago when Cambodia was colonized by France, but in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, amidst genocide, civil war, and political turmoil, the looting became a global business,
Ooh.
much of it run by a British man named Douglas Latchford. He kept some of it for himself, but much of what his gang of thieves stole, Latchford then sold to wealthy private collectors and some of the most important museums around the world.
Mm.
Cambodia's government has spent the last 10 years trying to track it all down,
10
and now they
years.
want their history and heritage brought home.
10 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Um, I feel like if we turn this to a series, we're going to be having episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because someone told me something important. Someone said, if you really want to know about the history of Thailand and Cambodia, I don't want you to hear it from them themselves. Hear it from France. Hear it from other countries. Do you understand? Hear about their history from other countries. You would know the truth. That was something someone said. I saw it time and time again. They're like, if you really want to learn about them, don't hear it from them themselves, because honestly, everyone wants to say something to favor their country. But now, hear it from people that have no relation with that country. Like, hear it from France, hear it from other people, other country, hear it from them, get their own perspective, and then you can truly judge, which is which.
The story will continue in a moment.
Oh,
Angkor Wat, with its towering spires, is the glory of Cambodia. Nearly 1,000 years old, it's one of the biggest and most extraordinary religious temples in the world, sprawling across 400 acres. Originally built to honor the Hindu god Vishnu, it then became a Buddhist temple and remains a place of worship today.
mm.
You can wander here for weeks, lost in a labyrinth of ancient stone corridors and sacred chambers. But the scars of plunder run deep. Looters have hacked off the heads of many statues.
Wow.
They've stolen bodies as well. Empty pedestals mark where gods and deities once stood. On some, only the feet remain.
Oh my God. You guys, can you see that? Oh, 10 years. Yo.
It's worse in the rest of Cambodia's 4,000 temples. Nearly all have been looted.
Mm.
This one is 100 miles northeast of Angkor Wat on a remote mountain called Sandak.
This was hit very heavily by the looting gangs.
Wow.
They found gold, they found statues, they found many, many things.
That's Brad Gordon, an American lawyer who's been working for the Cambodian government for 10 years, tracking down its stolen treasures. He brought us to Sandak with his team of investigators, archaeologists, and art scholars.
This is so cool.
In the temple's crumbling courtyard, little remains, mostly empty pedestals scattered among the straw trees.
Wow.
It's remarkable to me just how much stuff is just scattered on the ground.
Yes. It's like a pedestal graveyard.
We've all seen in museums these statues with no feet on them. And I don't think people realize
that it was
the feet were
stolen.
hacked off, because in order to steal them, that's the easiest way to get them off the pedestal.
And we know when the looters came to sites like this, the first thing they took was the heads. That was the easiest to grab. And then later on, maybe they come back and get the torso, but they were not very careful, so they left behind pieces.
Oh, wow.
For
True.
Cambodians, these statues are not just works of art, they are sacred deities that hold the souls of their ancestors to whom they ask for guidance and pray.
From now henceforth, if I go to any museum and I see only the head, or I see body and no feet, I would know it was stolen. I would know it was stolen.
This is
Yo.
incredible. These were all looted.
Yes, looted.
All of these heads
The
cut
head
off.
was cut off, yes.
Phorong Sakana, Cambodia's Minister of Culture, is in charge of the government's efforts to track down their stolen gods. We met her in a closely guarded warehouse not far from Angkor Wat, where more than
Look at this.
6,000 pieces from temples across the country are stored for safekeeping, each one sculpted by an artisan from an ancient Khmer empire that lasted for more than 5 centuries and spanned Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam.
So the statues have a soul. The statues are they living?
Of course, yes. And we believe that we can talk with them. They will hear. They will see. What do you want? What do you see? What do you do in your life, in your house, outside, in the society also? So
They're watching.
they're watching everywhere.
Phorong Sakana's entire family was killed in the genocide that began in 1975 when the Khmer Rouge, a radical communist group, took over, forcing millions of Cambodians into labor camps. Some 2 million people, nearly a quarter of the population, were slaughtered or starved to death.
You guys, I could remember let's do something. Let me ask this. Is Com Khmer? Answer me in the comment section. Is Khmer Empire? I see this a lot and I'm like, why? It's confusing. So let's get this straight. Is KHOM KHMER, right? And is Khmer Empire? Because from what a lot of people are saying, they're saying that Kom means slave and that the Cambodians were slave, right? And know that about them because their history was telling us how they suffered, how this genocide happened and all of these things. So I want to know, because a lot of people are always like, I'm having it confused. Now I want to put it out there. Tell me which is which. Tell me which is which. I'm like, let me know. So I know that when I hear Khmer, I know it is not Khmer Empire. Because I see a lot of Khmer is not Khmer Empire, and I'm like, let me know.
The Khmer Rouge lost power in 1979, but fighting and instability continued for decades, leaving Cambodia's temples unprotected and vulnerable, easy targets for unscrupulous antiquities dealers like Douglas Latchford.
Who is Douglas Latchford?
I would say that he was, in many ways, the mastermind behind the greatest art heist in history.
Wow.
The greatest art heist in history.
Yes, in terms of scope and multitude of crime sites and the enormous amount of statues that were taken out.
Latchford lived in Thailand. An enigmatic
Wow.
British businessman, he began collecting in the 1960s. He had, it seems, two great loves:
Can you see?
Cambodian antiquities and Thai bodybuilders. He sponsored Bangkok's biggest bodybuilding competition, the Latchford Classic.
Can you see?
How would
Can
you
you see
describe it?
all
He
those
was
sculptures without
extremely
legs?
deceptive. I think in many ways was ruthless, but he hid that behind this incredible facade of charm.
Latchford portrayed himself as a scholar and protector of Cambodia's culture, a reputation he burnished by donating sculptures to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York and other prestigious institutions. He also published 3 books filled with the finest examples of Cambodian antiquities. Many of them, it turns out, Latchford had stolen.
He was using the books as sales catalogs.
Oh, wow.
You know, he was handing them out. He
Oh, my
was
mic is
using
on.
them to sell pieces. And he understood a certain psychology of collectors out there that if they see something in a beautiful book, they think it's legitimate. You're doing the transcript right now, right?
Those books have been an invaluable guide for Brad Gordon and his team, helping them compile a database of thousands of missing artifacts, many of which they didn't know existed until Latchford published photos of them.
Wow.
Gordon's team got their big break when they met this man in 2012. He was a former Khmer Rouge child soldier and leader of a gang of looters. His name was Day Duck.
That first meeting, I didn't really know who we had met. You know, I knew that he was important. I knew that many people were telling me he was the best, and I knew that he was feared.
Why were people afraid of him?
You know, over the years, he had killed many people.
It turned out Day Duck had worked for decades supplying Douglas Latchford with thousands of treasures, and he was amazed to see them again in Latchford's books.
He kept opening the book and going back to the front cover and going through and tapping and saying, I know this one, I know this one, I know this one.
Oh, wow.
And when he says he knew this one, means
Where is
he
Douglas Latchford
helped
down?
loot those ones.
That's what we learned later, yeah.
Day Duck became a key confidential source for Gordon's team. They gave him a code name, Lion, to protect his identity, and followed him to
Now he's
dozens of
everywhere.
temples where he confessed what he'd found and how he'd stolen it.
Now he's out there. He's out there. Yo.
He would say to us, I'm going to transfer everything in my head to you. I'm going to tell you everything, every secret.
You felt like his memory was very good. It was accurate.
That was unbelievable. He remembered the size of everything, measured against his body. He would use his arm to show us how long a statue was.
Why do you think he wanted to cooperate?
You know, he felt tremendously guilty about many things he had done in his life, about the killing, about the looting. And we offered him a road of redemption, a way to do something really good at the end of his life.
They recorded hundreds of hours of Lion's testimony. He explained how gangs of looters would spend weeks at remote temples using shovels, chisels, metal detectors, even dynamite to find and dig out treasures. Dozens of men would hoist heavy stone statues onto ox carts before transporting them across the border into Thailand and into the hands of Douglas Latchford. Lion never met Latchford, but he'd sent him photographs of artifacts he could choose from.
We hear about them saying, oh, we had to go to this temple and take a photo, and then sending it back. You know, my sense is he was shopping. He had a list. The looters knew his priorities.
Like these, which came from a temple complex called
Do you understand?
Kokei.
Why is the hand cut
Statues
off?
from there had a distinctive style that Latchford loved. It was, however, a dangerous business. Most looters only made enough to buy food for their families, and fighting between rival gangs was common.
People were killed over these antiquities. Do you look at these as blood statues?
For sure. They're blood antiquities. Whenever I see a statue, I think about, you know, who died?
Who died?
To get this out of the ground or get it out of the temple and to move it here.
Wow.
So much of this looting was done in the shadow of the war, shadow of the genocide.
It was this 500-pound sandstone warrior from Kokei that appeared in a Sotheby's auction catalog in 2011 that put Douglas Latchford on the radar of U.S. law enforcement. Its feet were missing, and the price tag, an estimated $2 to $3 million.
When it appeared in the market, there were a number of archaeologists, a number of people who immediately recognized the source of the statue as being a specific temple in Cambodia.
It came from Kokei.
That's right.
Until he retired last September, J.P. Labatt was a special agent on the Cultural Property, Art, and Antiquities Unit with Homeland Security.
A team from the U.S. Attorney's Office at the Southern District of New York traveled to Cambodia to inspect the site where the statue had been removed. And so the base was still there with the feet still in the ground. And so they were able to match that base and feet to the statue.
And that was enough evidence to get the statue pulled off the market.
That's right.
After years of legal wrangling, Sotheby's finally agreed to send this stolen warrior back to Cambodia.
Oh,
A ceremony was held welcoming it home, and investigators were able to trace its original sale back to Douglas Latchford, who was asked about its repatriation in a German documentary in 2014.
Is it a good day for Cambodia, or is it a bad day for the art market if these things are coming back?
It's a good day for Cambodia. It's a bad day for the art market.
Law enforcement in New York was closing in on Latchford, but he claimed prosecutors had him all wrong.
Their imagination has gone wild. They've seen too many Indiana Jones films. As far as I know, there is no such thing as a smuggling network, and I certainly don't belong to any smuggling network.
The attempted sale of this statue in 2011, was that a turning point in the unraveling of Douglas Latchford?
I would say yes. That case put more of a focus and a spotlight on him, and then efforts were then doubled to really peel back the onion and look into Latchford's activities.
The testimony of former looters found by Brad Gordon and his team was critical for the U.S. Attorney's case against Latchford.
How rare is it to actually have access to the looters, to people who actually stole these things 10, 20, 30 years ago?
I know of no other case where that's happened, and it's quite remarkable to have looters actively assisting a team of investigators to recover artifacts that they had a first hand in helping remove from the country.
Douglas Latchford was finally indicted by U.S. authorities in 2019 for smuggling, conspiracy, wire fraud, and other charges, but he died before he could be put on trial.
oh wow.
Brad Gordon eventually convinced Latchford's family to return his personal collection of stolen treasures. Among the first pieces to come home in 2021 was this statue from Kokay. Lion, weakened by cancer, came to inspect it in Cambodia's National Museum to verify it was the same one he'd dug out of the ground.
And then he turned to me and he said, "It's the real statue." You know, it was a remarkable thing to watch, and just his relationship, it was living to him.
Do you think he was happy it was back?
Wow.
Thrilled.
I'm having chills.
He knew that he had done something good.
I'm having chills right now.
Lion died a few months later, but the secrets he revealed continue to bring statues back to Cambodia's National Museum.
No wonder. You see, that's what I was asking. If you said you even gave him a code name, and I'm not like, why is he now out here? You understand? If you give him a code name, why is he now out here? So it makes sense. It makes sense. Oh, rest in peace.
Masterpieces that left the country long before these school children were born.
Does the return of these statues, these gods, help some to heal
Yes, to get back the soul of the nation.
the soul of the nation?
It's not only for me, but all for my family who was died during the war. And for all Cambodian people.
There are still many more stolen Cambodian statues and artifacts in museums and private collections around the world. When we return, Cambodia's fight to get those looted relics back.
I've really learned a lot.
It's taken a team of Cambodian investigators, led by Brad Gordon, an American lawyer, more than 10 years to document the theft of thousands of ancient statues and relics by a British collector named Douglas Latchford. They've managed to get some of what he stole back, but many of Cambodia's greatest treasures are still out there, hidden away in the mansions of millionaires and billionaires, and hiding in plain sight on display in some of the most prestigious museums around the world.
The story will continue in a moment.
So I just wanted to know if you're getting back these things from the museum, yeah, do you buy them back? Because I don't know, if you go to a museum, you see something that belongs to your, to your history. Do you show them proof and get it back, or you paid him and get it back? I want to understand because that's a lot. If you're paying to get back all of this, yo, that needs a separate budget. Whoa.
The Metropolitan Museum of
Whew.
Art in New York has one of the most important collections of Cambodian antiquities in the world. But many of the finest pieces on display here in the Southeast Asian Art Wing are stolen. Like this one and this one. This as well.
Can you
All
see?
passed through the hands of Douglas Latchford. Latchford sold this one to the Met in the early 1990s. This one he donated.
Do you think people visiting the Met know that these were looted?
I think most people walk through the Met, they have no idea those are blood antiquities. They have no idea what the history is behind those pieces. They don't know the temples they came from. They don't know the people who were killed.
Even me, I wouldn't know.
The dirt has been brushed off. There's a little note that says where it came from. Should people believe what's on that little note?
No, absolutely not.
Last March, we went with Brad Gordon to see where in Cambodia the Met and other museums' collections really did come from.
This is incredible.
This 7-story pyramid is more than 1,000 years old and rises out of the jungle in Ko Kay in northeast Cambodia. It's one of dozens of temples in what was once the capital of an ancient Khmer empire.
Looters have been all over this site for decades.
Correct.
Douglas Latchford loved the statuary.
In love with the beauty, in love with the artistic.
The statues from here have a distinctive style that he particularly loved.
Correct.
And perhaps the most famous statues in that distinctive style that Latchford stole from Ko Kay were 9 stone warriors, once arranged together in a battle scene. Today, 7 have been returned to the National Museum in Phnom Penh, including this 500-pound sandstone sculpture. It's the one Sotheby's tried to sell in 2011. They're back on their original pedestals, their ankles reunited with their feet hacked off by looters.
This was at Sotheby's, this is at Christie's, Norton Simon Museum.
Hab Touche is the Secretary of State in Cambodia's Ministry of Culture. He's working with Brad Gordon to bring back the 2 Ko Kay statues whose empty pedestals sit in the museum.
So do you know what are supposed to be on?
We know.
You know what are supposed to be here, and you know what's supposed to be here.
Among 9 sculptures, we have 7 already. Only 2 missing.
One of those missing sculptures was discovered in the glossy pages of Architectural Digest in 2008.
Wow.
This mythical army commander and a stunning number of other stolen works were all together in the Palm Beach mansion of the late billionaire George Lindemann and his wife Freda.
Wow.
The ancient treasures of Cambodia were sitting in the living room of an incredibly wealthy family in America in Florida on display while people were having cocktails. And
The one thing that I'm always struck by is how many people witnessed it and have been silent and continue to be silent today.
The Lindemann spent an estimated $20 million building the collection with the help of Douglas Latchford. Freda Lindemann didn't respond to our request for an interview, but in Ko Kay, we showed her home to 2 former looters.
what do you think of this house?
It's a beautiful house, he said. It looks like it belongs to a king. The former looters pointed out another statue in the Lindemann's living room they said they helped steal. This reclining figure of the Hindu god Vishnu. They said it was dug out of the ground from this exact spot in late 1995.
Wow.
You're 100% sure this was taken from here by you and others in 1995?
Yeah, I'm sure.
They also identified a number of other statues they say they stole that appear in books published by Douglas Latchford. They say they found this copper statue using a metal detector.
This is Bodhisattva Adis?
Yes.
They dug it out of the ground here in 1990. J.P. Labatt, former special agent with Homeland Security, found photos of the statue covered in dirt on Douglas Latchford's computer. Latchford sold it to the Met in 1992. And here it is, still on display.
You were able to get access to some of Latchford's emails.
Yes, and in there, there are detailed stories about the manner in which he obtained pieces, the fact that he was having them reassembled and repaired, that dirt and crustaceans were being cleaned off of them.
They were freshly dug out of the ground.
Fresh, these were fresh pieces that he would describe in his emails that needed a level of restoration before he could even attempt to sell them.
Douglas Latchford was indicted in 2019, but died before he could be put on trial. Federal prosecutors in New York, however, continue tracing his looted artifacts. They believe at least 18 of them have landed up at the Met.
I am very involved in our work on provenance.
Andrea Bayer is Deputy Director for Collections and Administration at the Met.
The Met has said that they will return objects based upon rigorous evidentiary review. What rigorous evidentiary review was done before acquiring these pieces?
Not enough.
It seems like the Met had a don't ask, don't tell policy. They wanted to build up their collection, and nobody was really asking questions where it came from.
For people, many people in the art world, there was a sense of protecting great objects that stood a chance of being destroyed. We no longer feel about it that way.
Under pressure 10 years ago, the Met did return 2 statues called kneeling attendants, which had been donated to them by Douglas Latchford.
In 2013, when you returned the kneeling attendants, did you investigate the other items that Douglas Latchford had brought to this museum?
I don't know the answer to that question. I can only pick up the story several years later when Douglas Latchford was indicted in 2019, when we immediately and proactively went to the U.S. Attorney's Office and offered our full cooperation.
Well, I can pick up the story actually in 2013 because a spokesman for the Met said that no special effort was going to be made to check the provenances of any other Douglas Latchford donated work. Why wouldn't the Met want to look into everything else that Douglas Latchford had brought to this museum?
I can't speculate about why that didn't happen.
But no one investigated all the other items that Douglas Latchford gave?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you understand? If you returned 2 because of, I mean, could I say it is common sense? If I go buy something from someone, okay, right? I go buy something from someone and I discover that, okay, like what is going on right now in Nigeria, where there is fake products everywhere, expired products everywhere. If I go to a supermarket to get something and it is expired, and I find out, like I open my grocery bag and I see that 2 is expired, do you think I'm going to stop there? No. What would I do? I would I would remove everything I bought and check which one is expired. That should have been what they would have done. Period.
The Met is not the only major museum with looted Cambodian
Period.
artifacts, but its
Should have
collection
checked
is one of the
everything.
largest in the world. In May, the museum announced it would create a research team to examine the provenance or acquisition history
Can you
of
see?
all its
No
collections.
head, only body.
It's taken 10 years since Douglas Latchford was shown to have given stolen property to the Met. For the Met to set up this provenance team, why has it taken 10 years?
It was a slow process, I'll grant you that. It was a slow process, but I think that the fact that we are fully engaged now, fully cooperative now, is our only answer to this, really. It's a moment of reckoning, and we're ready to do what it takes now to right whatever the wrong is. But
4 years ago, when
For
Douglas
10
Latchford
years.
was indicted by
Yes.
prosecutors, did you set up a team to check the provenance of every Latchford work?
we started to dig in right then and there. It's not easy. I mean, the fact that we don't have much information has to do with the fact that it's
But
very
there's enough
hard to
information
find
for
the
federal. There's
information.
enough information for federal prosecutors to charge Douglas Latchford with
Do you understand?
stealing and looting
That was
and
enough
trafficking and smuggled items.
for you to return this thing.
How much more evidence do you need? You haven't returned
need-
any Douglas Latchford related items since he's been indicted, and that was 4 years
But we
ago.
are on the verge of returning a number.
Please return.
All of
Return
them?
all.
That I can't say.
Ah,
That interview took place in
Wow.
September. 2 days ago, federal prosecutors announced the Met would return 13 antiquities that came through Douglas Latchford. But the Met is not returning this statue, which was specifically cited in the indictment of Latchford, or this one, which Latchford sold to the Met in 1992. Cambodia's culture minister called the Met's announcement a first step and says she looks forward to the return of many more of our treasures. Shouldn't museums have thought twice about buying things that were coming out of Cambodia during the genocide and civil war and decades of strife?
And this question that you raise is really the crux of what we're wrestling with. You acquired pieces from a known smuggler who used a team of looters that the government has interviewed and taken statements from. They have emails which refute the information in your own provenance at the museum. You have items in the museum which were named in the indictment of Latchford that are still there. And so these pieces should go back.
Simple.
There's no question.
It's the right thing to do.
Simple.
This
Simple. Like, as simple as ABC. That's it. That is why I'm asking, do you return it? Because if we're looking at it, okay, if we're looking at it from the business aspect, yeah, it's like loss of business for them. That is more empty cases. You know, they're being stored in cases. So that is more empty cases because the more they return these things, the more empty it is, the more, I understand it from the business point of view. But now it's a whole country begging at this point. Like, this is their history. This is what they're fighting about. This is what they've been going on about. I mean, you should. If it were money, you've made enough money. Come on. From the moment it came into your hand up to this very point, you've made enough. So please return. Please. Yo.
Last September, the Lindemann family, whose collection was showcased in Architectural Digest, struck a deal with federal authorities, voluntarily agreeing to return 33 stolen treasures.
33.
In a statement to the New York Times, the Lindemans said, "Having purchased these items from dealers that we assumed were reputable, we were saddened to learn how they made their way to the market in the United States."
33.
Why did the Lindemans agree to return their
That's
collection
a
to Cambodia?
lot.
The pieces were dirty. I think they finally came around to the fact that Latchford was dirty. Their collection was all looted pieces. It was obvious, and so they decided to surrender them.
33.
We got a peek at what
Wow.
was the Lindemann collection shortly after the deal was done. It was sitting in a warehouse in upstate New York, a nation's living gods and ancestors waiting for a ride home.
This is like a whole wing of a museum.
A wing of a museum that only the Lindemans and their friends had access to.
Wow.
If the Lindemans hadn't published these in Architectural Digest back in 2008,
I think there's a good chance we maybe never would have found it. We always say the gods want to come home. We feel like the gods have spoken today. They
Wow.
want to come home.
As one of the biggest crates was being opened, waiting eagerly was Moi Kung Tang and Tita Long, two members of Brad Gordon's investigative team. This would be their first look at the mythical army commander taken from Kokay. They were likely the first Cambodians to set eyes on it since Douglas Latchford stole it more than 50 years ago.
He's here!
there's a look in his eyes and on his face.
It's much bigger than I expected it to be.
Its presence is extraordinary.
I did not expect to feel this way.
Aww.
Even the commander seemed to be smiling. Then it was time to see the rarest piece in the Lindemans' collection. The Cambodian team knelt in reverence as the Hindu god Vishnu was uncrated. Despite all the fuss, he appeared unperturbed, reclining in a cosmic slumber. When this statue arrives in Cambodia, it will be welcomed as one of the most important ever returned.
Wow. Wow. Yo. It's a lot. Wow. I've got chills right now, like, yo. Oh my God. And all of this it has an important role to play in their history. It has very important role to play in their history. I did enjoy this. This was really, really informative. Shout out to you who sent me this. Thank you. It shows that some people are actually watching. Some people don't even watch. Once they see the title, they're straight up going to the comment section to insult. Some people don't even watch the videos, forgetting that I am reacting to these videos. And so the way the original video titles it is the same way I will title it. Sometimes there is no more space to put reaction at the end of the title because the original title alone has taken the whole 100 character space. And so there is no place to put, reaction at the end. But of course, this is a reaction channel. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I could. It should still be okay to post that because they know this is a reaction channel. And so sometimes they see the title and boom, they run. They're in the comment section, just and then I find people who come back and edit their comments. And that happens after they've watched the video. That is why I always say it is important to watch the video. Forget the title and watch the video. Hear my own opinion and hear my own point of view. Shout out to you. Thank you. It showed you watched it. You're like, Clevy, check this out. And I did. I did enjoy this and I hope you did too. Here are today's Instagram and YouTube shout outs. Thank you so much for being a member of Clevy Nation, for staying active on the platform, and for supporting my journey. If you want to be featured next, all you need to do is to follow me on Instagram. This is my Instagram handle right here. Leave a comment on my latest post, or you subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a comment on today's video, guys. If you know you have any other recommendations, you have suggestions, you know the drill, please leave it right now in the comment section. If you know you enjoyed this as much as I did, smash the like button, share the video, you guys, and join the squad, join the gang by clicking on the subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss whenever I upload a video. All right, guys, I'm going to see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay blessed. I love you. Love you so, so, so much. And thank you. Thank you for always watching. Bye. Bye, guys.